Welcome to PPR podcast number 83. My name is Paul. The guy to the right is the star of the show, Mr. Bert Grossman. Bert, would you like to introduce our special guest?
No introduction needed. Mr. Ryan Lindley of the fine El Cap High School, now offensive coordinator of San Diego State.
Oh, no. This is how you introduce Ryan Lindley. 2005 Silver Pigskin winner. 2005, right, Ryan?
Six, yeah.
All right, this is how you do it. 2006 Silver Pigskin winner, Ryan Lindley. Ryan, long time no chat. It's good to see you. You look well, my friend.
It's great to see you. No, I probably look too well. I need to. I'm back in California. I need to start trimming down here. So I'm eating too good. But I tell you what, I'm excited to be back and get to work. And I watched our guys go out and run this morning. So if that didn't inspire me, then I don't know what will.
All right.
Now you bring up, since Paul brought it up, Ryan, I grew up in Pennsylvania, and football is like a religion there. And when I came to San Diego, I was like, they don't really take it too seriously here, from the Chargers down. And then I went to an El Cap game in 2006 with Ron Berner, and you guys had that team. And it was like I was back at Pennsylvania. It was cold, was one.
Yeah.
And just the stands, the town, everything. You seen anything else like that in San Diego, where the community, the town, just maybe Fallbrook if they're great, but I mean, it was such an atmosphere there. I fell in love with the place.
Yeah, I think it's been fun to see, and I'll tell you what's impressive. I mean, the city of San Diego went 4 for 4 this year and winning state championships, and to see that many programs go up in each one of their divisions and have that opportunity is awesome. And I think, to be honest, wherever I've been, winning helps a culture and a community to jump on board. So it's been fun to see how, the community down in Southeast is rallied around Lincoln, obviously, and from top to bottom, out in East County, Granite Hills, the guy Kellen Cobb's done a heck of a job out there. So it's fun to see how San Diego football and really San Diego sports have continued to evolve and continue to grow.
Certainly. I second that. Well, let's not bury the lead. When we were first reached out to you, you didn't have the title of offensive coordinator for San Diego State Aztecs. Now it's kind of just fortuitous that we get to talk to you about after you assume the title. I'm sure you're very excited about it. I know there's, like everything, there's always a lot of love for the guy that you're replacing, this, that, and the other thing. So there's some emotion on that end, which you can speak to, having been on both sides of this equation. You know all the players involved. Could you talk about how that all went down? Who reached out to who, and give us kind of like the timeline and all that?
Sure. No, I mean, I'm replacing a guy who, I don't just look at the last 3 months or 7 weeks that I was here coaching with him, but his time and the years prior to that, which started my senior year. He was the running backs coach, and obviously a few years later was elevated into the offensive coordinator position and oversaw some of the best years of Aztec football that I think we've ever had. So, Coach Horton leaves, some large shoes to fill, both on the football field with our guys and how he was a mentor and a father figure to so many guys around this program and university. And, you just felt, the presence that was lost, to be honest with you. So I wish him and Terry the best. I know he's earned it, and he's going to have a heck of a time in retirement. And like I said, he deserves it. And it pushes me because I know he set quite a standard for offensive coordinators here at San Diego State. And I'm gonna continue to try to push and get to that point.
Now, you came from Mississippi State, right?
Yes, sir.
And Mike Leach was the coach, correct?
Yep. Yeah, I was on the defensive side, but Coach Leach was running the show. It was almost kind of like ships passing in the night at the times. Excuse the pirate pun, but it was sometimes we were on different timetables, working for Zach Arnett and working for Coach Leach. But it was a blast working for Coach, and both on the field and in life. Same thing, of a guy that passed down in the little time that we spent together a ton to me, and obviously is a larger than life figure and will continue to carry on in the sport.
So that's what I want to ask you. So, not that, but I'm assuming you're out recruiting, you're looking at kids. You come from the SEC. That culture is totally different. And then now you come back here and you have this new thing, NIL money, and you're 100 miles away from USC. How do you recruit kids in California anymore?
Yeah, I think we recruit guys to our culture. been built up. We've developed a lot of really good players in this program, and that starts with really the foundation and the culture that's been built. Our strength coach. Yeah, the strength coach is a big part of that because that's the guy who spends the most time with our kids throughout the year. And that hasn't changed for a long time, and it won't change how we do things. We're gonna be tough nosed. We're gonna be mentally tougher than the teams we play. And obviously within that, you recruit on success, and tradition never graduates. A wise man once told me that. So we recruit to the success that we've had in the past. The great thing I think now, obviously myself being back as well, but we have so many former players in the building that can attest to that. I think everyone says that. But when you want to preach family and preach the foundations and principles that you build this thing on and character building, it shows when you have a guy like Nick Imbernati, who's a recruiting assistant for us, Doug Deacon's our special teams coordinator, myself now at offensive coordinator. It's a family atmosphere. We've all played for Coach Hoke, worked for him now at varying levels of times, and this is as tight-knit a group as I've ever worked around.
And yet it's a stressful time right now. I think with the 100th year season and the stadium, and they thought they had a confluence of everything was coming together. That was supposed to be a magic year for the institution, and it was anything but. It was a disappointing year, and it filled with all sorts of foibles on the offensive side of the ball, the inability to be consistent offensively. So could you talk a little, it's a win now mentality, and no matter where you go in sports. Could you talk a little bit about, there's a lot of eyes are on the program at the moment.
No doubt. I mean, it's a pivotal point. And I look back too, and I'm proud of the fact that, a 7-6 season, if you were to tell me 10 years ago that was a disappointment, then we're in a heck of a place. So that number one, and like you said, you look at where we are facilities-wise as we continue to build. That stadium deserves a product at a better level than what we put out last year. And I think everybody from top to bottom knows that. We're excited to get out there and continue to build this thing throughout the spring. That's a reality of this business. You do things and you get put in a position where we're given some perks, with the way things are going, and hopefully where things continue to go. And I think we're gonna push our guys to participate and to play to that level. So we also need to coach to that level. There's blame to be and responsibility to be put all over the place.
How much pressure you get when you say, the offense is sputtering a little bit? You've been a position coach. You know how it goes when you're offense coordinator. Either you get fired or you become a head coach, pretty much. I mean, so what's that like in the room? I mean, is that pressure? Do you feel it when you take over? Because nobody blames the position guy.
Right, I was gonna say,
or gives him credit. Yeah,
I was just joking with a buddy that you're like in the NFL, you're like an assistant position coach. You're below the firing line. You probably you can miss some bullets that other guys get. So it's I say this. I'm just excited at the challenge. I'm not looking past a whole lot more than the challenge that we have coming up here in 4 weeks with our spring ball period. And we got a lot to do to get our guys better. I'm excited to get our staff in here. Obviously, half of that on the offensive side is going to be new. We're going to put our stamp on what we do. And I've said there's a blueprint of success and of what's been done at San Diego State. That may look slightly different based on our personnel and what we evaluate. The one thing I'll say is we got a good group of young guys up front that I think took some licks this year. They got thrown into the fire, and I was really pleased with how they played down the stretch and how they continue to develop. Obviously, the quarterback's always the number one piece, and Moose will tell you that he knows he needs to play better the last couple of games. But at the end of the day, I think he's excited for the opportunity for the first time for him since he was in high school, where he gets the reins. I think he's going to go into spring ball, obviously, as our starter. He's going to get that opportunity and responsibility, and he's already looking forward to take that by the horns and go.
Can I?
Yeah, you can.
All right. So that's listening to the national pundits. Is there any truth to this, Ryan? Because you've experienced now SDSU on just about every facet. They're Coach Hoke, Big Ten guy, likes 4 yards in a cloud of dust, wants wants the trenches to insert their will and influence the outcome. Whereas today, 7-on-7 environment, kids want to wing it around. They want to multi-formation it and just turn it into almost flag football. Does San Diego's offensive philosophy match the recruiting the athletes you need to win it at the highest level in collegiate football? Does that question make sense?
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, and I'll tie it back to you guys asking an NIL question earlier. And I'll be honest with you, you need to always be pretty self-aware in this game, especially right now. I was at Mississippi State with Zach Garnett while he was the defensive coordinator. And, I'll be quite honest with you, financially, compared to the other guys you're playing week in and week out, you're towards the bottom of the barrel. Now, that place found a way to be successful because they went against the grain quite a bit, both offensively and defensively. And I think right now for us, that's kind of been the success, the pattern of success. And that's when I say the blueprint. I don't think you can ever go with the grain at San Diego State, to be quite honest. I think to an extent you better either be way behind or way ahead of the curve. If you're going to try to stay in the middle and do what everybody else does, you're going to be completely average. So like I say, like for me, I have ideas of what I want to do. Coach has ideas, and most of those mesh up. But we're going to do what our players do best, and do what they can do to put the ball in the end zone, because that's really the number one thing that needs to improve.
Well, let me follow up on that. Does that mean it's going to be what we've seen, where is it a run-first mentality, or are we going to start winging the ball around the field?
No, I think our best room, to be honest, right now is the running back room. So we're going to put the ball in those guys' hands. I can't tell you what way, shape, or form, but we're going to put our ball in our playmakers' hands, and I'm excited to see some other guys step up that haven't necessarily gotten the same opportunities. But I'm looking forward to seeing those guys develop through spring as well.
Hey, let me give you a hypothetical, Ryan. You don't have to answer if you don't want. You're a San Diego hometown guy. You're OC at your alma mater. Coach Lindley just turned 80 at USD. Say he retires this year. What's a better job for you, the head coach of USD or the offensive coordinator at San Diego State?
Oh, wow, that's an interesting question.
That's a good question. Probably my wife's the better one to answer that, since she handles some of the stuff at home. But no, you know what? I'll be honest. For me, there's not a lot of jobs, that for me are a lot better than being here at home. And whatever capacity that was going to be on staff, I really had a great job. I had a great time in Starkville while I was there. My wife loved it. It was great for my family. We got young kids. It's it's a small town and it's Southern living, but it was the right place at the right time for us. And I always knew when Coach Hoke called me a few months back that this is home. So that was always going to be a place that, this place is going to hold too much sentimental value for me, and will always be special. So I'll be honest, that's an easy answer for me, and that's here on the Mesa with San Diego State.
Just before we leave Starkville for good, and we were talking about Coach Leach, we had Keyshawn.
I said USD, University of San Diego.
I know.
Okay.
I know, but
he skimmed around the question.
But you avoided the question.
You
because
did, Ryan, but thank you.
Basically what he was asking, if Coach Lindley retired and USD asked you to be their head coach, would you accept it?
He knows what I asked.
No, I wouldn't.
All right, there you go.
See,
I got one more question.
That's how you asked the question.
I thought we kind of wanted to create some content too. So
We did. I know. That's what he doesn't get. He wants to know.
But I gave a long-winded answer and tied in some other things. But the short answer is no.
No, Ryan,
Thank you. We did want some content
since I've known you. You want to ask?
I do want to. Let me ask you.
No. Just before we leave Starkville,
right.
Your best Mike Leach story. Just because we had Keyshawn on and he knew him a little bit and told us a funny story about how his office had a bunch of stuffed animals in it, and he was just a wackadoo. Can you tell us your favorite Coach Leach story?
Man, my favorite one. I was with him at a College World Series game, and I had just gotten to Starkville, so he was enamored by the fact that I played quarterback, but was somehow working on defense with Coach Arnett. So I guess I caught his eye or caught his attention that way, and we started talking throughout the evening, and they ended up winning the game. I think it was the Super Regionals or something. So he starts talking about championship programs and teams, and that transitioned to talking about the Miracle on Ice and Herb Brooks. And 2 hours later, I was getting a history lesson in the Cold War and Reaganomics. So it was I blinked, and next thing I knew, I was back in a college classroom and getting a history lesson. But
content.
most of the stories, honestly, I wouldn't put out there. But he was an absolute legend to be around, and that's probably my best one.
Very cool.
So let me ask you a question, Ron, because you didn't have to deal with this, we didn't have to deal with this. Recruiting now with these kids on social media, I mean, what would you tell? I mean, because it's like a pet peeve. I go down on social media and it's like 2024 dogs drop your film. You know, these random, obscure colleges. What do kids do, or what's your advice if they feel like they're not being seen, they feel like they should be getting some exposure, other than, paying a service and some obscure college coach saying, dogs drop your film for 2000? I mean, what do you do?
Sure. No, I think the beauty of college football, it's gotten tough for sure. But I think you can find a place to play. It's all about where. I get it. Everybody, whether they grow up and want to play at San Diego State or another school here in Southern California, wherever it may be. Obviously, everyone's kind of got their dream school growing up. But I think if you can kind of set realistic goals as you continue to progress through your career and find a way, and you'll see it every NFL Sunday. You'll see it this weekend as we watch the AFC and NFC championship games. It's not all FBS programs. It's not all Power 5 programs that guys are going to the NFL. If that's your aspirations, and even if it's just to play football and enjoy your time while you get an education, I think the big thing is there's opportunities out there. It's just guys need to continue to expand those options, and at times it's swallowing pride, which is tough for a 16 to 18-year-old kid to do. It's easy for me to say, 16 years later, but it's tough to do, and I think you just need to know there's options out there. It may not be the options you want, but they're good options for you.
Can I ask an obscure question?
Absolutely.
Ryan, I'm from Philadelphia, and I remember when Carson Wentz was coming out, you were training him for the combine. What's wrong with him?
I'm a firm believer that the quarterback position is so much about the situation and setting they go into. So, I can't tell you exactly. I mean, obviously, it's had highs and lows. It's really worked at times and also taken its dips. So I kind of, through my mentoring process there, I stepped away after the draft process, and that was my sell to those guys. I'm not going to be the guy that hangs on and tries to attach the entourage or to the posse. I'll be there for a call whenever something's going on. You want to reach out, but at the same time, I kind of leave it to your coach that you're playing for to take it from there. So I couldn't tell you. I mean, it's kind of obviously with these last two stops, it hasn't worked out well, but I hope he's a talented guy, man. And if he can kind of clear the head, I think, a little bit, then hopefully he can get back in a good situation where he can just let it rip and play good football.
Well, being that you've experienced this game at all three levels, take us through it. What's the biggest jump from high school to college? What's the biggest jump from college to pros? What's the thing playing at? What's the thing that jumped out at you most? Oh, this is a lot different.
And I think that's based on position, pretty much, personally.
Okay, no, that's legitimate. That's legitimate. I think the number one thing is room for error, especially just at the quarterback position. I think there are guys that are really talented that find a way to make plays, at the lower levels, and it's the discipline and consistency at which they play the game. And Bert, I'd take your opinion on it too at other positions, but I think the technique and fundamentals and how you do that consistently is what exposes guys from good to great, which, at every level you jump up, the great guys are now average. And, that's really where I think you separate yourself, because at the end of the day, I'll be honest, genetically, some of us win the lottery and some of us don't. So that kind of puts you at your ceiling, but how you attack the game, both mentally and physically from a fundamental and practice standpoint, I think that's kind of what sets you apart towards the end.
So like when you got to the college ranks, was it the speed of the game that was different than LCAP, or was it just the fact that
you can't get faster in the Grossmont League.
Well, what I'm saying, suddenly now there's 11 good, instead of there being 4 good defenders across the ball, now there were 7 or 8, and then you get to the pros and all 11 guys can play. Is that the biggest difference?
I do think overall, definitely. I mean, you at lower levels, there's the old "Where's Waldo?" You can find the guy to pick on a lot easier.
His name's
high
Paul
school
Rudy,
and even in college. Yeah, exactly. You find the Paul Rudy on the other team and go after his tail.
Ryan, show a little real love, okay? All right, but the point's taken.
Wisconsin
you can
high
find
school
the Paul
football,
Rudy, right?
I don't know.
but like now, like when we watch these games on Sunday, there is no Paul Rudy. I mean, we're finding the weak link. I guess it's all relative.
No doubt, and that's why I say like it becomes your consistency and how you play, and now a lot of that goes into your reads and your fundamentals and how comfortable you are in the offense too. You know, like I look back and for my time playing with a guy like Phillip Rivers, the speed at which he operated mentally. You know, I played with a guy named Kellen Clemens, was our backup quarterback, and I was the 3. And I remember we would sit back and watch him and just go, we'll never, you know, like we could be here for another 10 years, just like Phillip has been. And I don't think I'll ever operate on that level, to be honest. You know, like he was an absolute savant from that level. Frank Wright used to call it, he was on rocket scientist level while we were just trying to get our college degree, you know? So you know, there's guys at a level that I think when you operate that fast mentally and physically, you really can set yourself apart from the competition.
Do you still, I mean, I know you're a 4-year starter, and wasn't it your real freshman year Kevin O'Connell was there, right?
Yeah, I sat behind Kevin and was his backup as a true freshman.
You guys still talk?
Honestly, I catch up with Kevin occasionally. I definitely, as things slow down, you know, unfortunately they made a quick exit in the playoffs. Had a heck of a year for a first coach. So I'm proud as heck of him, as all of us Aztecs are. But definitely going to try and catch up to him as things slow down for us, and he's got a little bit of time here in the offseason.
Yeah, I'm a Vikings fan. I grew up in Minneapolis, so I could tell you about the pain of that early. But you know what? The season was so off the chart.
Yeah.
Really, they were an 8-9 team, and they somehow squeaked out 13 wins. It will go down as one of those.
Hey, well, listen, having been a part of a team that I think was similar, and we squeaked out a 6-10 season, I'll take the alternative any day.
Absolutely. Hey, all right, can I ask you guys a football question? X and O's question. You come to the line of scrimmage. Why is it so imperative for the quarterback or one of the linemen to point out, like they're always saying 54? Why are they pointing out?
Why are you asking me? I don't even know my own line.
Why is it important to know?
Yeah, he's A gap, B gap, stunt inside, stunt. You know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't go anywhere. I got 2 options.
Teach me some football.
Ball get off. That's it.
Why is the quarterback calling out which line? He's usually pointing to one guy saying 54, 54. What's happening there?
Usually, you know, it's some sort of direction you're given. Now, a lot of times, honestly, I was in offenses where it was a little bit semantics. You know, you were kind of doing it for show, and that center was really the sharpest guy. You know, and he was the one making the real calls, and you kind of were given something for show for the rest of the guys on the perimeter or something. So, you know, sometimes it's something legit, and you're like changing a play, but at other times, to be honest with you, I think it's a little bit of smoke and mirrors.
All right, we're now up against the window here.
I got one last question.
Our last question, Ryan, because we have to go to our news break here.
Don't go quick. 2006 El Cap locker room song. What was it?
Oh man, gosh, there were probably a few.
Come on, they were all country. Come on, we're serious?
No, they weren't. That's the thing. I mean, you'd be shocked. I'd have to get with somebody. You'd be shocked. It definitely wasn't a.
It wasn't Ramona.
It wasn't Toby Keith. Oh, I've been to the rodeo. I haven't been in some time, but I've been before.
All right. Well, hey Ryan, you're a good friend for doing this.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
You've always been good to the PPR.
No.
Ryan, last favor to ask though. Come December, if the school, if you can work it out and get out of, come to the gala. We'd love for you to present an award at the gala.
I would love to. And I appreciate it. Your guys' crew is awesome. I know I'm on the road recruiting, so I had to find a quiet spot here in Orange County. But I appreciate you guys having me on, and look forward to doing this again because Paul, you know how much I've cared about you since 2006. So I appreciate what you do for San Diego high school football, and it's something special. I appreciate it a ton.
All right, Ryan, on behalf of everyone in the PPR, thank you. We will be in touch in December to see if your schedule meshes with ours, and if it doesn't, we'll wait until it does. Because you are loved and respected, and you're part of the show folklore, and you know you're on the all PPR 50-year team. So thank you so much.
That's in the office. That's the first thing I show some of the guys when they come into the quarterback room. So don't worry, that's on display.
Before we let you go, 30 seconds, Ryan. Lucky Sutton, he's another silver pigskin winner. What are we going to see him on the field in the coming season?
I'm excited. You know, Lucky. I talk about the blueprint and the program and the culture. And Lucky's already bought into that. He was one of our best players on scout offense. And even sometimes where guys were down and he had to take some reps during the week during practice with us. And I'm excited. You know, not a lot of guys move like him that big. And he's a heck of a kid, works hard every day, and is bought into the program. I'm excited to see what he gets an opportunity to do in the spring.
That's our final question with Ryan Lindley, 2006 Silver Pigskin winner. Mr. Lindley, turn off your machine. This podcast is now over. I'll start posting it as the day wears on, okay?
Thank you, Ryan.
Appreciate it.